Why is it so hard to get decent financial advice? Hey, I am Chuck the Bureaucrat, and I have been trying to do a video on financial advice for transitioning service members for quite a while now, and it has proven to be unusually difficult. My idea was I'd get a couple financial advisors, I'd video them, and then I'd post some version of that interview. But something weird has gotten in the way of that project. And I've come to the conclusion that there's some kind of systematic artifact that gets in the way of receiving financial advice. And get this, it's the result of some rules that are actually designed to protect us. In this weird meta rule, it doesn't just interfere with me making a little video. I think that it interferes with you being able to get the advice you need as you go through your transition. Okay, just for starters, when should you start working with a financial advisor? The answer is as soon as possible. Now. If you're planning on retiring with a pension or you're under the blended retirement system, you have some major assets that you need to be thinking about as early as possible. I mean, think about this. If you're getting a pension of just $1,300, that means you're essentially a millionaire. And that kind of a pension can be earned by an E4 with 20 years of service. I don't even know if it's possible to retire as an E4, but hopefully you see that most retiring service members have a serious need for financial advice. But if you think you're going to get financial advice from the Transition Assistance Program, think again. They are going to focus on giving you the counseling that the Department of Defense is required by law to provide. They are going to make absolutely certain that you make your survivor benefit program decision. But when it comes to things like veterans group life insurance, they're just going to gloss over that. So if you are delaying talking to a financial advisor because you think that transition assistance is going to be the answer, you're going to be sorely disappointed. And this situation is not accidental. It's by design, and it is meant to protect you. Even worse, if you just sort of passively sit back until some financial advisor messages you on LinkedIn, not only are your options going to be kind of limited, but you run the risk of not understanding the context in which that financial advice is being delivered. So before we talk about your financial plan or your options, let's talk about financial advisors. The community of financial brokers and companies and individuals, they have a self-regulatory organization called FINRA, the Financial Industry Regulatory Agency. FINRA is authorized by Congress, and they work very closely with the Securities and Exchange Commission in order to protect investors and ensure the integrity of the market. One of the ways they do this is by providing a database of their membership at a website called BrokerCheck. Here, you can enter the name of an individual or a firm, and you get all sorts of information about how much experience they have, the exams they've passed, and what states they're licensed to work in. You can also see if they have any disclosures, that is, bad paper. You can see disciplinary actions taken by FINRA for some violation of their rules, and you can see people's criminal records. Like how this guy stole a street sign back in 1990 as a part of a basketball prank. I have gotten to the point that the very instant someone starts making financial recommendations to me, I look them up on BrokerCheck. More than once, that has derailed the conversation right there. Either they're not a member, so they shouldn't be giving financial advice, or they have some really unsavory stuff in their record. Oh, and by the way, I am not a member of FINRA, so for the love of God, do not take my ramblings and then go out and purchase some financial product. Now, in addition to BrokerCheck, there's another thing about FINRA that on the surface should be a benefit, but at least for me, it interfered with me getting the financial advice that I needed when I needed it. It's the FINRA conduct rules governing recommendations to customers, what they call suitability. The very first principle is that when an advisor recommends the purchase, the sale, or even just the exchange of a financial product, they're supposed to know certain things about you. That is, they are supposed to have a reasonable belief that whatever they're recommending is suitable for you as the customer. In order to do this, they are supposed to take the due diligence to understand the customer's investment profile. And that investment profile involves all sorts of information from the investor's age, their experience, the tax status, their needs, their liquidity, their other investments. On the surface, these rules should be very beneficial. But for me, they caused at least 2 problems in getting the financial advice I needed when I needed it. First and foremost, I'm the kind of guy who likes to get down to business. I don't like chatting about my family and my views on the pennant race. But financial advisors have an obligation to understand your unique situation. They can be publicly and professionally admonished for neglecting to consider your unique situation. So they want to spend some time getting to understand your specific needs. Before I understood what was going on when a financial advisor started asking all these questions about my kids and how I like to spend my vacations, my con artist radar would go off. I'd think, are you trying to make me like you so that you can give me the hard sale on some questionable financial product? That's not what they're doing, but at first, that's what it felt like to me. But here's the other reason that these getting to know you rules can interfere with you getting the advice you need. It takes some long meetings that don't really seem to get anywhere before a financial advisor is in a position that they feel comfortable actually making recommendations to you. So at the point where you need financial advice, long before you actually drop your paperwork, you are one busy little beaver. Colonel Wico barely had time to collect his thoughts, let alone have long introductory conversations with some financial advisor that I wasn't even sure was going to give me good recommendations. So when it comes to timing, I would recommend that you look at your career timeline and try to find a good point to make initial contact with some financial advisor. If you have the luxury of being about 5 to 7 years away from retirement, I'd recommend that you aim to invest some serious time talking to an advisor, either when you're at senior service college or around a PCS. You definitely want to have this groundwork laid before you make colonel. And if you're in one of those crazy busy jobs that they seem to like to give you right before you retire, you're going to have to bite the bullet. Carve out time to have these conversations, or you'll be like me, finally getting started on your financial plan when it's way too late. And before I wrap up, here's one more thing to watch out for with financial advisors. The kind of pension that the military provides, what's called a defined benefit plan, it doesn't really exist anywhere in the commercial sector anymore. So there are a lot of financial advisors who just have never seen this kind of situation. And therefore, it's difficult for them to even think about how best to plan around it. You don't have to find somebody who specializes in retired military, but you certainly don't want to be the first military client for an advisor. All right, so with that as a starting point, I'm going to do some videos on financial planning. In the meantime, watch this video to see some considerations for whether or not the Veterans Group Life Insurance is a good option for you.